Welcome to Ipestedu Ladder Safety Course for Pest Control Technicians and Inspectors. This course is an introductory course for new hires in the industry. However, it is a good course for anyone working with or on ladders. In this course, we will cover brief introduction, ladder selection, ladder inspection, ladder setup, ladder handling and transportation, ladder climbing, and finally a summary before your exam.
Sadly, every year, over 300 people die in ladder-related accidents and thousands suffer disabling injuries. Knowing how to properly inspect, use, and care for the ladder, a critical tool on the job site, can save your life. Do not become a statistic. For most pest and wildlife control companies, you will need to work at heights. Working at height simply means operating from a ladder above the ground. If you are not properly trained or have other issues with working at heights, you could risk injury or even death. These questions need to be answered before you take a job that requires working at heights. 1. Are you physically capable of climbing a ladder or lifting a ladder? 2. Are you willing to work from a ladder at heights? 3. Do you have a fear of heights? 4. Are you willing and able to complete training for this type of work? 5. Is this the right job for you? These are important questions to consider before accepting a job like this. Let's take a look at some of common causes for ladder accidents and injuries. Ask yourself, am I guilty of any of these bad habits? If so, correct them before you become a statistic.
Shockingly, most injuries occur among workers who have never received ladder training. Once you complete this course, you will grasp the complexity of working at heights with a ladder.
Did you know that all ladders are required to display the weight capacity for that specific ladder? This weight includes not only your weight, but also any tools or materials you might be carrying. Always check the weight limit of your specific ladder during your pre-inspection.
Yes, this is a real photo where a worker is using the wrong ladder in the wrong place, putting the worker in significant danger. You need both hands and both feet to safely climb a ladder. Injuries and falls occur when you carry too many tools or materials and cannot access the ladder safely.
Another often tragic mistake is climbing or descending a ladder without facing the ladder. Muddy shoes or boots or greasy slippery boots are not good. Ensure your footwear is not slippery or muddy when accessing a ladder.
What about this one? The ladder not secured at the top or the base. It happens more than you think.
One of the worst mistakes is improperly placing an extended ladder or not using the correct angle. Always apply the 4-by-1 rule. We will discuss that in depth later in this course.
Another often overlooked rule that could lead to drastic outcomes is not extending the ladder a minimum of 3 feet above the roof edge.
Construction workers, pest inspectors, and technicians are notorious for taking shortcuts. For example, if they need an 8-foot ladder for a job, they might stand on the top of a 6-foot ladder. Often, the results are an emergency room visit or worse.
This is an extreme case, but it gets the point across. Any ladder must be placed on a stable, balanced surface. Not doing so could be catastrophic.
Happens every day, and it is costly. Never overreach beyond the side of the rails of a ladder. Ladder selection is critical for safe ladder use. To select the appropriate ladder, you must be fully familiar with each ladder your company uses. Let's start with the step ladder. It is essential to inspect your ladder before each use. To do this properly, you must know the parts of each ladder. Looking at the A-frame step ladder, let's start at the top. On the top end is the top cap. Never stand on the top cap for any reason. The back side of the ladder is the non-climbing side. Under no circumstances stand on or use the backside for climbing. What locks the folding ladder into place are the spreaders. Ensure the spreaders are locked down and secure before using the ladder. On the bottom of the ladder are anti-slip safety feet, sometimes called shoes. Moving on to the front of the step ladder, the working side now. Down from the top cap is the top step. The reason this is important is that you should never step on or use the top step for standing or climbing. This is often the most abused rule in ladder work, resulting in countless injuries each year. On each side of the step ladder are the rails. Use these as handrails when ascending or descending. And lastly, the actual steps you will be using. Remember, make sure the steps are free of mud, grease, or slippery material, as well as your boots or shoes.
The next type of ladder we will look at is the extension ladder. This ladder is a bit more complex than the one you may have used to access your treehouse. Extension ladders are used to reach greater heights. With higher elevation comes greater risk. Let's take a look at the working parts of this complex tool. A lot of the terminology may be the same. However, the functions could be different, as this particular ladder consists of two sections. The two sections are the base section and the fly section. The base section supports the second section, called the fly section. The fly section is what extends the ladder to greater heights. At the base of each rail are the shoes. In the case of the extension ladder, the shoes are flexible and can flip, with one side featuring a non-slip base and the other side being a sharp, jagged spike that can dig in and anchor into the soil. Similar to the step ladder, the rails serve the same purpose. However, each section, the base and the fly, has its own rails. One notable difference in terminology is that what we call the steps on a step ladder is referred to as rungs on an extension ladder. Another major difference from the step ladder is the addition of rung locks. Rung locks secure the fly section in place once you extend it. It is critical that the rung locks are engaged and secure after extending the fly section before you climb the ladder. Keep in mind that most longer ladders have a rope and pulley system attached, which is used to extend the fly section. Now that you are somewhat familiar with the working parts, let's move further into the course and get more familiar with these tools.
For this course and the pest industry, we recommend only ladders that meet OSHA or ANSI, American National Standards Institute, standards. They recognize 3 types of ladders: wood, metal, and fiberglass. We will only discuss fiberglass and metal in this course because we believe those 2 are the safest and most reliable for what our industry encounters. Each ladder has an ANSI code. For wood ladder, it is A14.1. For metal ladders, the code is A14.2, and for fiberglass ladders, the code is A14.5. Again, for this course, we will only consider metal and fiberglass. It is important to recognize that ladders are rated for use based on their weight supporting capabilities. For the pest industry, we want to use either Type 1AA or Type 1A. Type 1AA is rated for special duty for up to 375 pounds. Type 1A is extra heavy duty industrial, which is rated for supporting a weight up to 300 pounds. All ladders are labeled, containing important information for each specific ladder. At the top of the label, the type and grade of the ladder are listed as previously mentioned. Below that is the manufacturer's certification. Directly below that is the duty rating, which indicates the weight capacity. The model ID and number are not as important as the information provided below. This section provides not only the total dimensions of the ladder length, but more importantly, the maximum working length to which the ladder will extend after deducting the overlaps. Other than the weight capacity, the last section gives you the maximum safe working height. For step ladders, it is the second step down from the top, and for extension ladders, it is the 4th rung down from the top. Extending ladder safety starts with selecting the safest and correct size ladder for the job. Keep in mind that ladders should be 7 to 10 feet longer than the highest point of the structure you intend to work on. Remember, 4 rungs from the top of an extension ladder is the highest level you can climb. The ladder must also be angled at a 4 foot by 1 foot. So for every 4 feet, the ladder must back off the structure 1 foot for the proper angle. Also, the ladder must extend over the top of the ROP support by 3 feet. This chart can help you in your selection process. Some things you just have to see to believe. These are all photos from real people on real job sites. One of the final steps in selecting the right ladder for the right job is material selection. We have already mentioned the 3 materials you will have to choose from: wood, metal, and fiberglass. Wood is not one we would recommend, so really you would choose between fiberglass and metal. Each material possesses characteristics that make it suitable for specific applications, and a given material may align with the user's preferences. For instance, potential contact with electrical wires or exposure to a hostile environment, such as certain chemicals or outdoor storage, should greatly influence material selection. Never use metal ladders anywhere near electrical lines. Now, we have already gone through the introduction to ladder safety and ladder selection. Now, we will move on to ladder setup. However, before you do anything, you must always perform a ladder inspection prior to setting it up for any job site work or use. The pre-use inspection is critical to preventing ladder injuries. Therefore, let's start with the step ladder inspection. For the step ladder inspection, lay the ladder on its side and start with the feet of the ladder first. The shoes often suffer the worst wear and tear, especially the rubber non-slip soles. Twist the shoes to ensure they are secure and that the rubber soles are not damaged or twisted. If they are worn, damaged, or twisted, they can make the ladder unstable and cause an accident. Move up the ladder and inspect the rails. Metal and fiberglass can split and crack over time. Also, check the steps for cracks and splits. The bottom of the ladder often gets bent when stored or transported. Make sure it is stable and not bent. Now you are ready to set up the ladder and complete the inspection. Check the labels on the ladder to ensure they are not damaged and are legible. Verify the duty rating on the ladder to confirm that you have the correct rating for both yourself and the specific job. It is important to double check what most call the spreader. Some refer to it as the strap. If the spreader is bent or compromised in any way, the ladder should not be used. The spreader must lock into place firmly when it is extended and the ladder is completely deployed for use. Believe it or not, people will use a step ladder when the back, non-climbing side is bent, damaged, or compromised. If you have a ladder in this condition, you must not deploy or use it under any circumstances. There have actually been cases where people have tried to use the back non-climbing side to stand on. Moving to the front of the step ladder, check each step. Make sure none are cracked and that all are tightly secured to the rails. As you check the steps, look closely at the rails to ensure none are cracked, bent, or frayed. A fiberglass ladder will begin to splinter if exposed to the weather over time, which weakens the rails. It is a good idea to ensure the steps are clean and free of mud, grease, or other slippery materials as well. Always pay particular attention to the bottom of all ladders, as the rails, feet, and lower steps endure the most abuse and are often the first parts to become damaged. Any compromise to any parts of the ladder that you observe during the inspection should be noted, and the ladder must be tagged and taken out of service. If compromised beyond use, discard the tool before someone gets hurt. The worker using the ladder is responsible for inspecting the ladder before use in every case. Now that the ladder has been inspected and is ready for use, let's discuss how to position it. Position the ladder so that it is not in the path of workers walking through. It is a good idea to rope off or place cones around the area you are using the ladder. Do not position the ladder in front of unblocked exits. Do not place it in front of doors that can open into the ladder. Do not place the ladder on boxes, buckets, or any other unstable surface. Place the ladder only on solid footing and level at the bottom. Make sure the ladder is stable on the top of each rail and supported equally. One might think this list is a no-brainer. However, if you visit any job site, you will likely see some of these dreadful ladder mistakes. Never overextend yourself on any ladder. Always keep your belt buckle between the rails. Never twist around on the ladder. The ladder is not a disco. Stay away from electrical lines and boxes, as metal ladders can cause electrical current to arc. Never step on the top rung of a ladder or the second step from the top of a step ladder. Do not sit on the top of a ladder, as that can lead to unfortunate injuries to important parts of your body. Do not walk a ladder as if you are using stilts. I'm not sure why anyone would do this, but it happens. Why anyone would try to use the non-climbing side of a step ladder is beyond comprehension, but it has occurred. Do not do that. Never use a step ladder as a leaning ladder when it is not opened. It is dangerous. Let's move now to the extension ladder. This ladder is more complex, and due to the heights it can reach, it can be more dangerous. Always inspect it before use. As with the step ladder, lay the extension ladder on its side and begin the inspection the same way. Inspect the labels and the duty rating, then move to the feet. You will notice the feet are different. They swivel and have two positions. Make sure the feet swivel and are not compromised. One position is for flat, hard surfaces such as pavement, concrete, or flooring. The rubber parts can get worn and damaged, so do not use them if they are worn or damaged. The other position is like a spike for soft surfaces designed to anchor into soil or other soft material to secure the base. If any part of the feet is compromised, do not use the ladder. It is important to note that extension ladders do not have steps, they have rungs. The rungs are secured to the rails. However, the types of rungs on extension ladders may vary based on the use and preference of the worker. The three main types of rungs are D-shaped rungs, square-shaped rungs, and round rungs. D-shaped rungs are the most common. Regardless of the rung type, the same inspection rules apply. Ensure that the rungs are securely attached, not broken or compromised, clean, and free of grease, mud, or any material that might cause the climber to slip. Now check the rails. If they are fiberglass, ensure they are not worn, cracked, or splintering, as they tend to do this with age and exposure to weather. Metal ladders will develop stress cracks over time, which could cause the ladder to fail, creating disastrous results. Remember, extension ladders consist of two sections, the base and the fly section. The fly section is what enables the ladder to extend to greater heights. And to secure the fly section safely at the desired heights, the ladder is equipped with rung locks. The rung locks engage to secure the fly section and prevent it from collapsing. Always ensure the rung locks are in good working condition and not compromised. If the fly section were to collapse, it could be fatal from heights. The fly section is extended by a rope and pulley system. Check the rope and ensure it is not frayed or damaged. Then verify the pulley to confirm it is in perfect working order. With the inspection complete, you are now ready to position your extension ladder. Before you pick the ladder up, check for any overhead lines, especially electrical ones. If you see any lines, assume all are electrical and charged. Do not guess, as it could mean your life. Once you confirm it is clear, while the ladder is still on the ground, ensure the base side is up and the fly section is facing the ground. Now, slide the ladder toward the building and place the feet against the building while the ladder is still on the ground. Now, walk the ladder vertically up the wall. Once that is done, walk the ladder back away from the building to a comfortable position, resting it against the building. Position yourself between the building and the ladder, grip the rope firmly, and extend the fly section until it is 3 feet above the supporting rail or gutter. Pull the rope and extend the fly a bit more, then allow it to come down and engage the rung locks. The proper and safe angle for the extension ladder is that for every 4 feet of height, the ladder needs to be moved back at an angle of 1 foot from the structure. This is called the 4-to-1 rule. An easier method is the foot and palm method. Most ladders have a decal depicting this method. Place your feet directly on the feet of the ladder as the photo shows. Extend your arms straight out, and your palms should rest directly on the rungs of the ladder without bending over. This method should provide you with the proper 4-to-1 ratio. Hold on. Before you climb, make sure the rung locks are securely in place. Is the fly section facing you and the base on the bottom? Are the feet secured with the correct shoes? It is always better to have 2 people performing extension ladder work so that one can hold the base and secure it while the other climbs. In cases where that is not possible, you can find ways to stake down the base and secure it to prevent catastrophic circumstances. Remember, as we review this, if you are working with the ladder and not gaining access to the roof, the top of the ladder still needs to be over 12 inches from the support or gutter line. If you are accessing the roof, the ladder needs to exceed 3 feet above the gutter or roof line. And always maintain 3 points of contact with the ladder. As you climb, your hands should be grasping the rungs, not the rails, and your belt should always be in between the rails. Let's take a look at the do's and don'ts of extension ladders. First, almost every rule you learned for the stepladder applies to the extension ladder. One rule that is unique to extension ladders is to never try to reposition an extension ladder from the roof. Only do that from the ground. Do not attempt to invent leveling schemes for the extension ladder. Some come with leveling legs or extensions. If they do not try to create one out of rocks, bricks, buckets, or any other unusual substances. Always apply the 4-to-1 rule. If there is not enough room, another method will have to be considered if you cannot obtain the proper angle. Additionally, extension ladders should always be secured at both the top and bottom of the ladder. Some things you have to see to believe, and without these photos, one would never believe it. What could go wrong? We have spent the better part of the course discussing the liability and dangers of working at heights with ladders. What we have not mentioned is how dangerous ladders are while being transported. In the pest industry, you will most likely be transporting ladders. Every year, there are countless injuries and fatalities resulting from insecure ladders while being transported. Learning how to secure your ladder during transportation is just as important as learning how to use a ladder properly. An unsecured ladder can fly off the top of a moving vehicle like a missile being launched. The ladder then becomes a lethal projectile that can instantly kill or seriously injure anyone in its path. Unfortunately, this happens much more than it should. The sad part is that these incidents are preventable. If you are transporting ladders, it is your responsibility to ensure the ladders are secured. How would you feel if you were the cause of serious injury or death to innocent people simply because you failed to secure your ladders? One of the culprits and significant causes of ladder transport failure is the reliance on bungee cords as the sole tie-down tool. Bungee cords are not ideal for cargo tie-downs due to their unpredictable elastic properties and the potential for serious injury or damage when released suddenly. They create more hazards in the workforce than any other option and can recoil with significant force. While Virginia's specific regulations regarding bungee cords don't explicitly address their use for securing ladders, it's generally not recommended, especially for commercial or public transport. Ladders are best secured to vehicles with ratchet straps designed for securing loads on commercial vehicles or metal cable, which is more reliable and stronger than bungee cords. Their recoil can also make you a pirate. Be careful. Okay, you love bungee cords, but consider these facts. You never know the strength of a bungee cord. Most bungee cords do not come with a rating to indicate how much strength they have. It doesn't matter how short the trip is. Even if you are traveling a short distance, a bungee cord can snap at any time under any circumstance. Bungee cords wear out quicker due to weather and strain. When overstretched, even with normal use, they fray and the fibers break. Bungee cord hooks are just as unreliable as the cords. They often break under normal use. Bungee cord slippage for users has produced more pirates than any other tie-down. When stretching the cord, if it slips out of your hand, the recoil can quickly damage your eye or worse.
You have almost completed the ladder safety course, but before we close it, let's review some simple points. Don't test a ladder by jumping on it. Who does that anyway? Use a ladder only when you are mentally alert and physically able. Don't hurry or skip rungs or steps when using a ladder. Never use a damaged ladder. Protect all ladders from the environment, excessive heat or cold. Don't drop or throw ladders. Who throws ladders? Physically inspect every ladder before use. Use the right ladder for the right job. Know the duty rating. Always maintain 3 points of contact on all ladders you use. Know and use the 4-to-1 rule. Make sure your ladder is secured before you transport it. Did you inspect the feet or shoes of your ladder before use? Never move an extension ladder that is not completely retracted. At the end of the day, you are responsible for the safe use and handling of your ladder. Don't become a statistic. Good luck and always work safely.